The all-American sweetheart, Taylor Swift, is one of the richest women in the US and the second richest self-made woman in the music industry. Many of us believe that if you're famous, whether a musician, an actor, or a remotely well-known figure, you automatically have money. The reality is that in some industries, fame doesn't guarantee wealth. You could end up bankrupt if you aren't smart. So, how did Miss Swift achieve something so unreachable for so many? Get your getaway car ready as we investigate Taylor's money-making secrets. Born in 1989, Taylor is the daughter of Scott Kingsley Swift and Andrea Gardner Swift. Her father was a stockbroker for Merrill Lynch, and her mother worked as a marketing executive. This background played a key role in her business acumen while pursuing a music career. Both parents always supported her, even when she was doing small gigs and singing in cafes. She took guitar lessons, and by her 13th birthday, she was writing her own songs and taking the first steps towards her career, an important detail for later. Before we continue, it's important to note that we won't delve deep into Taylor Swift's career here. You probably already know a lot about it, even if you aren't a fan. What you need to know now is that by 2003, 13-year-old Taylor had gone to Nashville in search of opportunities in the country music industry. Nashville is legendary when it comes to music, and many artists find their fame there. After some small jobs and competing for a good deal, Taylor signed with Big Machine Records. This is where Scott, her dad, comes into the picture. As a stockbroker, Scott was knowledgeable about deals and money management, and he was good at it. Since this first deal, Scott Kingsley Swift has overseen most of Taylor's business affairs. He ensured that her first record deal wasn't abusive or exploitative and secured the ownership of her songs and rights to perform, including a clause that, after a few years, she would own the rights to her songs. He also invested in the record label, securing a seat in their conference room, a small move that provided both money and stability for Taylor, at least for a while. The contract with Big Machine Records was simple but clear. Taylor had to record 6 albums, and all of her masters would be owned by the label. She still had the rights to her songs, but her masters? Zero. For those unfamiliar, a master is the original recording of a song. Owning a master means having the right to license the recording to third parties and earn royalties in exchange. Well, Taylor Swift signed away the rights to her masters to the record label in exchange for an advance. This helped her career in the beginning, funding her first concerts. Her dad even made an investment, betting on her global success. Scott Kingsley Swift invested $300,000 to secure a position on the board of the label and to help his daughter. At the time, he didn't know much about the music industry, but this investment serves as a measure of the income and success Taylor would quickly achieve. Jumping to 2018. By this time, Taylor's contract was almost up. She had released Taylor Swift, Fearless, Speak Now, Red, 1989, and Reputation, all of which were hugely successful, propelling her to superstardom. Taylor became a global sensation in just 5 years. Her first 6 albums were major hits. 80% of Big Machine Records' revenue came from her music, and the $300,000 her father invested turned into $1.5 million. By this time, she had grown as an artist and gained a better understanding of the music industry. In August 2018, she attempted to buy her masters from the label. Big Machine Records agreed, but only if she renewed her contract and produced more albums for the company. This didn't sit well with Taylor, so she moved on, putting the idea of regaining her masters on hold. In November 2018, Taylor's contract expired, and surprise, surprise, she signed with another label with a much better deal. With the Universal Music Group under the Republic Records label, Swift owned her masters, maintained her creative and musical ownership, shared 50% of her royalty payments, and retained her publishing rights. Better yet, she also managed to change Spotify's revenue-sharing policies. How? She secured equity shares for all of Universal's artists on a non-recoupable basis. She fought hard to obtain better royalties from the platform and direct payments for artists, benefiting up-and-coming musicians who would now earn more per stream. Her father helped by emphasizing her value to the company. Eventually, she pulled her entire catalog from the streaming service, and Spotify felt the hit. We mentioned these controversies for a reason. Remember when we said that Taylor wrote her own songs? This is important because from the beginning, she was heavily involved in the production and songwriting process behind her music. As a producer and writer, she had control over her music catalog. She held the licensing rights as the creator of the musical work and owned the copyright to her lyrics. She could do whatever she wanted with her songs and music, but not with her masters. Why are the masters so important? Because they are the original iterations of her music, the backbone of her first 6 albums. Owning your masters as an artist is a big deal because it gives you the legal right to decide how your music is used and distributed. Then, Taylor's worst nightmare happened. In 2019, Scooter Braun bought Big Machine Records, and with it, all of Taylor Swift's masters. This was a low blow for Miss Swift, as there was bad blood between her and the manager. Long story short, she decided to take matters into her own hands and re-recorded her first 5 albums, some of which are still being released today. This power move changed how attorneys viewed copyright laws. Why? Because she did something no one had ever done before and succeeded. To top it off, she made millions from it. Now, Big Machine Records owns a far less valuable asset, and every major company prefers to license Taylor's version of her songs because she still holds the licensing rights. Most of these deals were achieved thanks to Scott Kingsley Swift, her father, along with an adult Taylor Swift who had become savvy in business. This really highlights how her father has been working behind the scenes for years to ensure his daughter's success. This leads us to the other gold mine Taylor Swift has. If you aim to become a billionaire, you need multiple money-making ventures. Taylor understood this after her first tour and decided that from Fearless, her second studio album, onward, all of her tours would be an experience. By the Red Tour, she made $150 million in revenue. With the 1989 World Tour, she made $250 million. And by the Reputation Tour, she was hitting the $345 million mark. She shattered records with her tours and continued to do so with her Eras Tour. After everything that happened during her Reputation era, and after taking time to work on her music and improve her mental health, she needed something big. This brings us to the Eras Tour, which has generated $1 billion in revenue as of now. This is her biggest tour to date, and it's still ongoing in 2024. But that's not all. She also made a movie that brought in $370 million in ticket sales, most of which went directly to her. How? Her dad pushed for an agreement to distribute the tickets with the producers, securing 57% of the revenue from the sales. She did something similar with her Eras Tour ticket sales, once again taking the lion's share of the revenue. So, who's the mastermind behind her massive economic success? It's a combination of Taylor and her dad, Scott. Without him, she wouldn't have secured the deals she did with her labels, and she wouldn't have learned how to navigate the business world. And without her own strategic thinking, she wouldn't have achieved success after success.